in terms of development for sport in the country. So, and they have a long-term plan to bring together the north and the south of the Alps into a long-term development plan for these mountain regions that were very much close to everything that the IOC, the changes we have made with Agenda 2020 and Agenda 2020 plus 5.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Couple more.
Oui, bonjour, Déborah Claude pour l'AFP. J'avais une question sur les analyses de l'eau parce que ça devient de plus en plus compliqué de comprendre comment vous procédez.
On peut continuer avec les questions générales, mais just to check and then I can let...
Ça concerne l'environnement également et l'héritage.
Oui, plus ou moins.
Ah bah,
okay, then I can let the others go. Yeah. If there's one more sustainability question, and then we'll come back to you.
Hi, I have one more, but I think that is a sustainability question, but regardless. I'm wondering, you know, halfway through the games, have you done any measurement on terms of transportation? Like, have you actually reduced how many people are using those Olympistes? What your subway use is like, even given that the prices have gone so much higher than was planned originally? Do you have any initial statistics that actually breaks down whether you're reaching your targets?
You know, we always say that we're going to make the final assessment at the end, but so far, so good. People are using public transportation. You know, it just takes you go and stand at the exits or of the metro stations. But most importantly, we're getting daily feedback on the use of our bikes parking spaces. And it's incredibly interesting to see how spectators are using bikes as well to come to our venues. There are some days in which they are used at 98%, the parking spaces. You know, we have 27,000 parking spaces for bikes. So this is going to be a very interesting statistics to share with everyone, because it's been a first as well, you know, and this is why we're monitoring on a daily basis.
And beyond the transportation during the games, it's important to remember that the games helped accelerate changes in public transportation. The city have a strong ambition in taking cars out of the streets, in dedicating more space for dedicated bike paths. There was improvement and extension in public transport, like the line 14 that went to Saint-Denis with the new station Pleyel. So the Games was part of a larger strategy of the city, focusing on public and active and transport for the long term in the city.
Okay, avec mes excuses. Yeah, sorry, it is a sustainable question, I'm sorry.
Oui, puisque je crois que c'est présenté à la fois par le COJO et par la
sustainability, because it's a, you know, part of your legacy, if I remember well. Now, just to be sure that I understand, there was training that was cancelled this morning. This was a decision that was taken overnight, I believe. What was this decision based on? What sampling was used? This was World Aquatics, which is a different entity from the decision that was made yesterday, if I understand well. This is for E. coli and others, so we just need to know the time and the date of this analysis. So World Aquatics did take this decision. This decision was taken this morning. So they looked at the results on E. coli that were very good on 3 tests, and 1 test which was qualified as being acceptable for the criterion. And then they looked at the decisions, or rather the results of others that were dated by 48 hours before. So we get these tests afterwards, So what does that mean? These were the results of the 4th of August, so 48 hours before, which was the eve of the decision that had to be taken for the mixed relay in the triathlon. So it's because of these previous tests that this decision was taken. It was done with a cautionary approach. We have to have familiarization, but there's another familiarization event which is planned tomorrow. And for Paris 2024, well, we're pretty confident in our ability to see what is happening in the weather forecasts will allow us to carry this out in good conditions. So again, it's the final results from the 5th of August, the day of the actual event.
If we don't have any more sustainability questions, I'll let everyone go, apart from Anne and I, and then we can take all your other questions. So thank you very much indeed. Yeah, gentleman here to start with.
Good morning. This is a question for Anne mostly. We recently found out that a BMX rider who took part in the opening ceremony is not an Olympic rider. He was just part of the opening ceremony. Has been under investigation for killing a 19-year-old kid as a policeman. What do you have to say to that? How come you went through the screening? And do you find acceptable that if you went through the screening, I mean, do you find it acceptable that he took part in the opening ceremony?
Yes, on that subject, we saw the information through the media. Just to say that all the performers for the ceremonies, celebration, are hired by a production agency. They are selected. The selection is based on their creative skills. We are not in a position on our side to confirm the information that was reported in the media. So at this stage, I cannot comment more on that subject.
Okay, yeah, gentleman there. Sorry, you wanted a question earlier on.
Thank you. Greg Lafredi, CGTN. Question is about swimming, and in particular the conflict between the World Anti-Doping Agency and the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency over Chinese swimmers. USADA has publicly accused WADA of a cover-up regarding 23 Chinese swimmers that tested positive before Tokyo 2020 were allowed to compete, 2 more that tested positive in 2022. China's anti-doping agency, did a thorough investigation of this, which was reviewed and supported by WADA, but USADA has insisted that there may be a cover-up. I'd like to know the IOC's opinion on this matter, particularly as WADA is now beginning an international compliance review of USADA. This could jeopardize the U.S. hosting of the Games in the future, perhaps even LA 2028. And also, have you seen or are you aware of China's statement that they have released this morning, official statement regarding this matter?
Yeah, I mean, I covered this 3 or 4 times. Happy to go through again in two press conferences, as I remember, at the beginning of the Games. All I can tell you, I mean, obviously this is clearly an issue mainly for WADA. What I can tell you, you've seen the IOC response. There was an interim report which found there to be no bias and grounds for not referring it to CAS. We offer our full support to WADA as the World Anti-Doping Agency that is needed. A global agency is needed to make sure that anti-doping procedures are carried on around the world. That was an interim report. In the report, the investigative lawyer involved also indicated, who, by the way, also worked with 3 independent experts, or 4, I think it was, indicated that the final findings of that would be along those lines, the same lines. I can't really add very much to that at the moment that's going to help during the Games. Those discussions with WADA and with our other stakeholders will continue. Yeah, gentleman there.
Good morning. This is Jeff Wang from Radio Free Asia. A high-ranking Chinese sports official who is also the vice chairman of the World Aquatics Swimming Technical Committee, name is Yuan Haoran, has reportedly sought political asylum when he stays in Paris. We want to know if you have the information about him on this issue. Thank you.
I don't. Do you have any knowledge? It's the first I've heard of it, so I can't shed any light on that for you. I'm afraid I would go to the authorities on that one. Reuters down there.
Good morning, Carlos Croman from Reuters. Following yesterday's press conference at the IBA, how does the IOC see the development of boxing and its Olympic future, given that there is no substitute federation that seems to be strong enough as far as members are concerned to take over, and the IBA seems to continue this this conflict with the IOC over the two boxers until certainly those boxers stop competing at the Paris Games? Thank you.
I'm not going to comment on the chaotic scenes yesterday. I think you all either were there or took part in that press conference. What I will say, the one thing I will say about it is that it clearly demonstrates that the sport of boxing needs a new federation to run boxing. If you ever needed any evidence at all that the IBA is unfit to run boxing, just to look at the key members of the IBA who took part in that travesty yesterday, I think tells you everything you need to know. The sad thing is that boxing is an incredibly important Olympic sport. I think I said this before. For us, it's important not just because it's a great sport, but because actually it's one of those sports that has a real social aspect to it. It often works in areas which are underprivileged. And so it's incredibly important. We would call on, and as I say, I think the best recruiting sergeant for a new federation would be that press conference yesterday. I'd ask everyone who hasn't seen it to please watch it, because I think it will give you an idea of why we are desperately in need of a federation that can take this forward. We have organised boxing both here in Paris and at the Tokyo Games. We are not a federation, obviously, and we desperately need a new federation to run boxing, and we hope that those national federations, I think some are already coming together, more I think after yesterday, but I think some of those are coming together, and let's hope that they can bring it to Los Angeles. We would love to see boxing. We want to see boxing on the program in LA, and now it's up to the boxing community to organise themselves for the sport and for the athletes. Yeah, right at the back there.
Hi, Robin Doolittle from the Globe and Mail, and I apologize if you answered this in French already. I didn't rig up my headphones in time, but I asked this yesterday. Did you have any more clarity on any confirmed sicknesses from the Seine around swimmers beyond the reports that we've kind of seen in the media?
At this stage, we are not aware of any confirmed E. coli diagnosis. We can just say that, it's never nice to hear that an athlete is not feeling well, and we are just hoping that they will feel better.
Gentleman down here.
Hi, Adam Plowright from AFP. It's a question for Anne and but perhaps Mark as well. Do you accept that the fact that the triathlon was given the green light to go ahead yesterday and then training has been cancelled for the marathon swimming today, that creates a degree of confusion and perhaps uncertainty about whether the Seine was safe to swim in yesterday? And sort of how do you explain that?
It's important to remind everyone that it's the international federations that are taking the decision. So on one hand, the World Triathlon, and on the other hand, the World Aquatics. So I'm not going to speak on behalf of them, but just to explain that the decisions were taken at two different moments regarding the available data. It's important to stress the fact that the World Triathlon is willing to factor forward-looking analysis. And this is the reason why the decision has been made on that stage. And on the other hand, as I said, the decision from the World Aquatic was taken with an abundance of caution regarding the fact that we are talking about familiarization, the fact that we have another option tomorrow to organize the event, and regarding the fact that we didn't have the last result for enterocoque.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to think we'll take a final question down here. Looks like, yeah.
Just passing on a question that has been asked around, and the 100 meters final for the men's event, there was a light show before the start, and there was none for the women. What's the reason for it?
You just need to wait a little bit. We have more surprise to come for a female event.
Okay. Oh, always regret offering a last question when we've closed.
Don't worry.
But go on, please go ahead.
Jerry from the Star. It's
Yeah.
just for further clarification about the readings in the Seine and the water. I understand that the area that failed was not within the triathlon course. Is that right, Anne, that the area that actually failed was not within the course of the triathlon?
Yeah, the last, yeah.
Is that area that's failed within the course of the marathon swim?
I will need to check and get back to you afterward.
Right, yeah, okay. Thanks very much. If you could let us know, that would be great.
We will come back to you on that. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. See you tomorrow. I did make a note about what we were going to talk about. Ah, yes, sponsors and TV tomorrow, so it should be quite interesting to have some of our key directors here. So thank you very much. I'll see you at 11 tomorrow. Thank you.